St Augustine is a beautiful city, and we could have gladly stayed longer. Unfortunately, it was August and it was time to head north. We plan on visiting again in the future when we sail back south in a few months. Our next destination was Beaufort, South Carolina, not to be confused with Beaufort, North Carolina. Beaufort as in beautiful. Since our first overnight passage had been a positive experience, we decided to sail overnight again, figuring, why not? Our first overnight passage had been easy. This one will be much better now that we have had some experience. We knew this sail would be a bit longer, but not much, and the forecast was great. Light winds from the south, chance of afternoon thunderstorms, typical summer weather. The passage started off great, and I felt more comfortable in the galley below, making a nice salad with lunch, and then cooking a hot meal for dinner that evening. But first.
Alright, winds were light, so we're under power, but it's 5:11 and I'm making dinner now because winds are expected to pick up to 20 knots by 8 o'clock. So we're thinking by 6 it's going to start getting windy. So even though it's a little roly-poly with the engine on, and it was good, it's like 5 knots, which is why we turned it on, I am making dinner now. Cutting up vegetables has gotten easier. You just need a steady hand, and yes, it is a good idea if you can to prep and cut up the vegetables like beforehand. And there's my rice. I'm going to add the meat, and it should be a delicious dinner. First time I've cooked all the way beforehand. We had all last voyage.
A nice hot dinner was delicious, and we felt ready for any storms. We passed Jacksonville in the freighter traffic while it was still light and enjoyed watching birds on a feeding frenzy. We looked forward to a nice, quiet evening ahead. We saw the storm approaching from the west on radar, saw the clouds, and I thought, okay, daily afternoon storms. We've sailed through storms before, and even though it was night, we were prepared. We put Mary downstairs, put our storm gear on, and we were ready to reef the sails. Rain, wind, and lightning. Everything is amplified at night. The storm hit us and we had waves crashing at the boat from every direction. It was completely unsettling, clouding my judgment and undermining my confidence. Dave, meanwhile, was at the helm, confident as can be, joking about sailing in our first gale, and here I was, cowering between the companionway entrance, begging for the storm to end. I wanted this ride to stop, but it's not a ride you can just get off, or a trip you can end when it's not fun anymore. How do I tell Dave I'm scared and I don't want to do this? I didn't know what the boat can handle, or what we were capable of. Were we in over our heads? Thankfully, the storm ended, and I went down below and tried to rest. Of course, just as I was falling asleep around 1 a.m., Dave comes below and tells me he saw a flare. We tried to contact the Coast Guard on the radio. No luck, and due to the wind angle, we couldn't sail towards the flare. We texted the GPS coordinates to Dave's dad using our Garmin inReach. Soon after, we heard from the Coast Guard on the radio. We told them our GPS coordinates when we saw the flare, the approximate direction, height, and color of the flare, and hoped for the best. Hours later, the Coast Guard texted us on our phones. Yes, we had gone further into shore to get a signal, and we found out it was a drill. Customs and Immigration had been performing a drill. Glad all was okay. Around 4 a.m., we finally settled into our proposed watch schedule of 2 hours, one on watch while the other slept. We got some well-needed rest and felt refreshed the next day. It was a quiet sailing day, thankfully, and after talking with Dave about my doubts, I felt much better and decided I didn't want to quit. I wasn't going to let one bad experience ruin our plans. Sailing is not an exact science, and though we had planned on getting into the Beaufort Inlet during the day, we sailed faster than expected, well, at least most of the time we had. And just around 1 a.m., Dave woke me up to help navigate the inlet. The inlet into Beaufort is the Port Royal Sound Channel. It extends roughly 10 miles out to sea with a southerly approach. When I first started sailing, I naively thought channels were like runways. You line up the first set of markers and head straight in, but it's just not so. Channels often zigzag, following the ever-shifting sands of the seafloor below. Channels are marked with red buoys on your starboard side and green buoys on your port, entering a channel. Sailors remember, red, right, returning. Regrettably, not all markers are lit, making a nighttime entry a bit challenging to say the least. I stood at the front of the cockpit with a small but powerful flashlight, which wasn't quite enough. Dave would call out a color and direction, such as green at 2 o'clock, and I'd hunt with the flashlight until I saw it, which was usually less than 3 boat lengths away. It was stressful, but we made it in safely. We then veered to the northeast looking for the Beaufort River buoys. It was difficult at times to differentiate between a lighted channel marker and the many lights on land. Just before dawn, around 5 a.m., we arrived in Beaufort. The marina we had made reservations at was Ladies Island Marina, which is just north of town. But like a hotel, we couldn't check in until after 11 a.m. So we went under our first swing bridge. The operator opened up just as we sailed up, and then we dropped anchor and caught a few hours of sleep. The channel to Lady Island Marina runs parallel to the bridge. Almost finished with this trip, but one last surprise. There was a sunken boat, but thankfully it was marked with a buoy. Lady Island Marina had a dock right on the outer dock, so it was easy to pull in. They have nice shower and laundry facilities, and new to us, a courtesy car and bikes. We went to dinner at the restaurant next door and had a delicious meal. The next day we used a courtesy car. Yes, it was an older vehicle, but it works. We just put a few gallons of gas back in the car as a courtesy. It was a great plus. We ran to the local grocery store to provision and found some unique local items. Then we went to West Marine and got Dave a harness and a few other items. Beaufort is located on Port Royal Island, one of the largest sea islands along the southeast Atlantic coast of the United States. Its entire downtown is designated as an historic district. During the Civil War, Beaufort was one of the only southern towns chosen to be occupied by Union troops rather than be destroyed. There are numerous historic structures that have been beautifully restored and can be visited by professional guides via walking, bus, or horse-drawn carriage tours. Art galleries, antique shops, and modern stores dot the town, as well as fine dining, restaurants, and quick eateries. The moderate climate allows for the outdoors to be enjoyed year-round. We returned to the marina, checked the forecast for the next day, and saw that it was going to be an early cast-off since we wanted to leave at high tide. Next destination, Beaufort, North Carolina. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, it would really be great if you hit the like and subscribe button and hit the bell so you're notified when our next video comes out. Thanks for joining us.